Welcome to the third session of our Dominion sector game. It's a dark future time when the light of the Star Knights who once defended the galaxy has been all but extinguished, and the Zukun Dominion tightens its political and military grip on the inhabited sectors of the cosmos. Led by a mysterious figure known as the Monarch, who rose to power during a time of chaos, riding the desperation of a frightened galactic populace into power, and whose will is enforced by the ever-present Dominion pacification forces and the terrible powers of his loyal Void Knights. This game uses the White Star OSR science fiction rules published by Gallant Knight Games and the Foundry Virtual Tabletop. The campaign is set in the Damascus sector, an area of space lying far from the galactic capital and the direct gaze of the Monarch. Many systems are under the control of Dominion governors, who each jostle and vie for prestige and position, concerned more with their selfish needs than the good of their people. But they must also vie for influence with the Caphis, a reptilian species that controls many of the systems throughout the sector, and whose interests worm their way into all that is criminal and illegal, propped up by the forces of the mercenary Clazon. Our heroes are two brothers, Balan and Tangiza, one of whom is an heir to the mysterious powers of the Way, the force that once allowed the Star Knights to protect the galaxy. Their family's opposition to Dominion control has made them both hunted men, forced to scrounge for supplies and fuel where they can find them, and try to remain below the Dominion's radar. Acting as their pilot is a young woman called Tylo Dolph, an ex-slave of the Caphis who managed to escape their clutches by stowing away on a ship and taking advantage of a skirmish with their enemies. Cybernetically enhanced, she has ties to a mysterious corporation and has proven masterful at piloting the group's freighter, the Defiant. Our heroes have accepted employment from the Caphis crime boss, Corpacora, to travel to the hazardous ship graveyard known as 364 Sagan, an area of space filled with asteroids, ruined ships from an ancient conflict, and automated alien defense satellites. It is a dangerous place, but is rumoured to be filled with ancient and strange technology that can be harvested by those who survive the perils of the area. Corpacora has promised to reward them handsomely if they return some of this tech to her, lending them the services of a single fighter craft and the Clazon soldier, Togger. We join them as their ship arrives on the very outskirts of the 364 Sagan system, outside the field of debris and ruined vessels that stretches throughout much of the system. As they enter the system, their pilot scanning all available frequencies to orientate themselves, they begin to pick up a strange communication signal broadcast on public frequencies. So, as your ship emerges onto the edge of the 364 Sagan system, Tylo is obviously piloting your ship, the Defiant. As you come through, you start picking up a signal on the public frequencies, and this is what it sounds like. Hey there, it's another fine day in the armpit of the universe, with nothing but the sound of old ship ghosts and the crashing of rocks to keep you company. Well, don't you worry, old Rin Singer's going to keep things going as long as those stars are burning. Here's Chambana with her latest hit, Twin Sons of My Heart. But before that, don't forget, if you've got any information about the graveyard, or you want some, slide on over to Singer Listening Post. We've got you covered. Don't forget, we're broadcasting across the sector. Just tune your comm system to long-range frequency K27A. And now, back to Chambana. And at this point, as sort of strange sort of alien jazz begins to filter through the public frequency, we hand over to you guys. Can I ask you guys to try and keep yourselves muted when you're not talking, so we're getting quite a lot of background noise. So, over to you guys. You're hearing this strange alien jazz playing through the public frequency. You're heading into the outskirts of the sector. You've been sent here by Corpacora, as we've said, to find this ancient tech that's apparently knocking about here. Before we go any further, obviously you've got the small Cathis fighter craft with you. Is one of you guys piloting that? Is Togger piloting that? How do you see that breaking down?
I thought one of these two were going to pilot it.
I think that was going to be you, was it, Tom?
I don't remember, but we definitely talked about this last time. But it's been such a long time that
I know we talked about it, but I honestly can't remember.
Yeah.
But you guys have had plenty of time to discuss it in character, so you can have whoever you want piloting the ship.
Yeah, if do you want to go, Balan, or am I there?
I think you are. You go.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the Cathis.
Yeah, so you're in a tiny Cathis fighter craft called the Bounty. It's a very small one-man craft. There's nothing particularly remarkable about it, to be honest. As you're obviously you've had a chance to look it over. It's got a faster-than-light drive. It's got some shields. It's got a single laser cannon. It moves pretty quick, but obviously it's very small, so it's once the shields are down, it's comparatively fragile compared to the Defiant, which obviously a much larger vessel. Okay, so what do you guys want to do? You've heard your strange broadcast. You're sort of on the outskirts, sort of like making your way towards the debris field, so to speak.
Do we have a means of triangulating the signal?
Yeah, that's dead easy. I mean, Tylo can quite easily do that. You just sort of like backtrack the signal on your instruments, on your scanner, and you can pick up that it appears to be coming from a very small sort of like listening post / station, like very, very small, like just outside the debris field, so on the very edge of the sector.
Okay.
And it basically just appears to almost be like a very small sort of like habitat, but like a load of satellite dishes on it from your scans. That's obviously continually sort of like broadcasting this sort of like radio program, for want of a better term.
So I wonder, does that feel like a good place to start, or does that feel like a trap?
I wouldn't start there. I'd pick a spot and scan from there, because that's just going to get us attention.
What can we see in front of us? Is just basically debris, isn't it? We're just on the outskirts.
Yeah, it's just a large field of debris. Obviously, Tylo on the scanners. Now, the way scanners are going to work in this is you have like your general sort of purpose scanners, which sort of like extend out to like the extreme range, designed to like pick up large objects. If you want to like deliberately scan anything, you can like effectively scan like a hex with more detail, like focusing your scanners in. But obviously that requires a roll, and it takes some time to do. The further away you are from whatever you're scanning, the longer it takes, the more difficult the roll is, basically. But we can get into that in a bit. Yeah, from your scanners, you can just pick up like loads of sort of slow-moving rocks, sort of like moving through the system. You can pick up several large metallic objects, like bits of old wrecked ships and stuff like that.
Well, I suggest we just pick the closest large ship, and we'll just go and have a look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have to comb through anyway, because we don't have better intel. So,
Well, do you feel anything, with your...
it doesn't really work like that. But I'll when it does, I'll let you know.
I'll tell you what, for the first roll of the game, like you say, it's not very likely you'll pick up anything because distance is involved, and it's not really meant for sensing machinery and rocks and stuff like that. But roll me a d6. If you get a 1, you may pick a little something up.
That is not a 1.
Okay, yep. So you do try and sort of reach out with the way to see if you can sense anything, but mostly all you sense is the cold void of space around you.
Yeah, because it's about life, right? And there's
Exactly, yeah.
not a lot of that.
Yeah. And even if there were some life, it's so sort of, I mean, obviously we're sort of like judging this in ship distances. It's so like astronomically far away in terms of your sort of like burgeoning way senses. It'd be very difficult for you to pick up anyway. You're literally just sensing like the space around your ship.
And the way Tan is looking at it is, if there's gonna be anything, it's gonna be more about him, as in like him getting like the spider senses tingling now, and it's not so much about like, oh, I'm gonna look and see where it is. It's more about basically Fate with a capital F being like, hey, look to the left now.
Pretty much exactly how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you guys over onto the map of the debris field. Okay. So I'm hoping that you should see the Bounty and the Defiant. Sort of at the
I see the
bottom.
Bounty, but not the other ship.
You can't see the Defiant. Oh, right, okay. Must be that cloaking device you invested in, guys.
Oh shit! it's
That's it.
working overtime already.
It's that good. There you go. Okay. So the area you can see is obviously sort of like your scanner range. If you click and select the ship, you'll see the vision for that particular ship. Now, as I said, we have to go into a little bit of rulesy sort of stuff here. Obviously, all of you can technically move the ships, but it's going to be Tylo moving the Defiant and Tan moving the Bounty. So, if you select one of the ships, you'll see that obviously it's facing in a certain direction. If you hold down Control and use your scroll wheel, you'll see that it changes the sort of direction that the ship's facing. Okay, and now the way this works is you both have a maximum speed. At top speed, the Bounty can move 5 hexes a turn. At its top speed, the Defiant can move 3 hexes a turn. Now, at the start of each round, you decide what you want your acceleration to be, and it can be from 0 up to your maximum. So, but you have to decide at the start of the turn. So, if Tylo goes, right, we're just going to move 1 hex this turn, that's your acceleration, and you can't change it until the start of the next turn. If you want to turn, you can only turn by like 1 increment for every like hex you move. So you can't move a hex and be like, Burp. You have to sort of move 1 hex, turn a little bit, move another hex, turn another little bit, etc. I hope that's relatively clear. And that's why I've mentioned like how you adjust the facing of the ship, because unless you've taken your acceleration down to 0, so we get to the next turn and Dave's going on 3 acceleration and he doesn't say, oh, I want to take it down to 0. That effectively means you'll move that distance without having to put any effort in, because just your inertia will carry you along. Which obviously, once you start getting into like the tight sort of debris field, you're going to have to sort of like think about your manoeuvres a bit, because you won't just be able to go like, oh, I've moved 1 hex, oh, there's some rocks all around, right, I'm going to go and turn around. You'll have to sort of work out your arc.
Trajectory, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But we'll sort of feel that out as we go along with the game. It's more complicated to explain than it is to actually do. So, okay, so you guys have started off. You're moving onto the very edge of the debris field. You know that, Tyler, that you're sort of picking up sort of like the main bit of the debris sort of starts around there, sort of just ahead of you. You're just picking it up on the very extreme edge of your sensors, but you're not actually close enough to pick up any details yet. However, you are picking up what, if your instruments are correct, would appear to be 2 largish vessels in this direction. They don't appear to be moving or have any easily discernible power signatures to them.
Okay.
Obviously, you guys can communicate in real time because you've got comms between the ships. So, and we're not in like combat rounds or anything yet. I'm going to keep it to turns just so we can like move the ships, but we're not in any strict like, right, you go now you shoot, anything like that at the moment. So I'm just going to call it as we go along. So Tylo, piloting the Defiant, I've told you sort of what you can see and what your sensors are picking up. What do you want to do?
I'm going to move here. Just to scan this general area a little bit more and try and avoid what those ships are, because I'm not sure we're in their sensor range just yet.
Okay. So your acceleration is 2 at the minute.
And I recommend the bounty goes just up, just one after me.
Okay, well, you guys should be able to move the ships, so...
So,
So
when you say
if
one after you...
You
like,
move to there.
here?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, yeah. So we, John, we haven't picked up anything from this side.
Not at the moment, no.
Cool, yeah.
Although you will both be finding, Tylo and yourself, you'll both be finding that due to the large amounts of asteroids and the metallic debris in there, you're getting a lot of sort of sensor echoes and like sensor ghosts. Now you guys are doing a fairly good job, as are your systems, in sort of like weeding those out, but it is making your sensors a little bit more limited.
So what I'll do is, I'll do 3, and I'll go like this: 1, 2, 3.
Okay, absolutely fine. So yeah, so the Defiant starts slowly moving through the sector. So at about like 2/3 speed. The Bounty, moving quite rapidly, being quite a manoeuvrable fighter, sort of zips behind you and takes up a position behind. Anyone sort of like looking on the scanners or out like the rear viewports or anything like that can see the small sort of Caphis fighter behind you, the plasma plumes flaring out of the back of it as obviously its pilot makes like tiny course adjustments to bring it around behind you. You're all picking up this sort of ship here. It appears to be a fairly substantial ship. You're not picking up any signs of like power signatures from it. You can tell at this range with your scanners it's obviously a ship of human design, but it just appears to be like floating dead in space. There's no signs of like rockets or plasma jets or even like power running through the systems on the ship. What do you want to do next, guys?
Do we want to get close enough and try and get onto it?
You should be able to do a decent scan from this distance in case there is something lurking behind it.
Okay, that's fine. So if you want to do a scan, let's see how far away that is. That's 3 hexes away, 4 hexes away. So that's short range. It'll take you a round to do, which is fine, so you can do it this round. What you need to do is you need to make me a saving throw, Tylo. And you can pick any of the saving throws because they're all the same. So you can say like death, poison, wands,
Yep.
Just like click on the title of one of those. There's no modifier because it's at short range. So if you click on one of those, it should roll it and then tell you whether it's been a success or a failure. Okay, success. So yeah, so as you move within close range and you focus your scanners on the ship, and obviously the disadvantage to focusing them on the ship is that you're not going to be picking up as wide range as stuff if like something came in to like surprise you.
Well, hopefully the bounty is going to be keeping its area scan up whilst I stop and do this one.
Indeed. So as you focus your scanners on it, you think that it seems to be some sort of like blockade runner, obviously of human manufacture. It's pretty much destroyed. You'd estimate approximately like 75% of it has been destroyed. You can see evidence of asteroid impacts, of weapons fire. You assume the systems must be inoperative because there's no power signatures going through it. However, you are picking up some very faint life signs coming from the vessel.
Are we interested in saving lives?
Well, at least we're interested in talking to potential locals for intel. I don't know if that is what this is, but how fresh is this, by the way? Is this old damage?
It's old. This whatever conflict took place here took place a long time ago, which is why it's so surprising that you've picked up these life ones. But like I said, they're very faint. They're quite intermittent. So like as you're focusing your scanner in, it's only because you've done that you're picking them up. They're so faint and they keep sort of like flickering on and off intermittently.
So, should I take a closer look?
Yeah, go and take a...
Yeah, I'll sweep in.
No problem.
Oh yeah. So we're going. We're gonna go. We're gonna go 4.
Okay.
And we're gonna do it like so. 1, 2, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, no problems. So you swing alongside the human-made blockade runner, sort of firing your thrusters to increase your speed as you zoom alongside it, making maximum use of the sort of agility and the maneuverability of the Bounty. As you fly along the side of this vessel, you can now see sort of like, you don't have quite as powerful sensors for like focused scanning, but you've got good general sensors. But as you're heading alongside, obviously you've got like a cockpit. As you sort of look out the view screen and you see this metallic structure of this ship rolling past you, you can now see like huge tears in the metal. You can see like scorch marks and what look like plasma burns on it, and like I say, just huge holes all over it to the point where the thing looks like it's barely held together.
I don't think there's any atmosphere aside from maybe some compartments that weren't punctured. This is a dead thing. It's a mess in here. So I'm thinking if there's something that you can pick up, what's the name of her? At Defiant, if there's something that you can pick up, it's because maybe there's some cryo units still chugging along somewhere that hasn't been exposed. Don't know what else it would be. If it's bio. If it's energy, yeah, probably.
It's biological.
Something else. Yeah.
Does it look like there's enough left to salvage, or is it just...
We could probably scrape something.
I mean, you could certainly salvage the metals. What, if any, systems have survived? You wouldn't know without a further inspection, because without energy actually going through them, your scanners wouldn't be able to trace the weapon's still working, this is still working. You'd have to literally go into it to explore it and have a look if you wanted to determine that, because whatever's on the ship, even if it's salvageable, it's obviously not working at the present, or the ship's drive isn't working to provide any power to it, and that's what your scanners would read to determine what systems were working.
So John, as well, I'm not picking up because the intent was to do the whole broadside, like glide along and see what's up. It's not like giving me any energy spikes that weren't there before. When
You're not picking up anything
yeah,
that you would have
Yeah.
not noticed before. However, you can roll me a d6 to see if you sense anything with the way.
I do not.
Nope.
No. Of course, could be something there. We could take a look. Of course, the raw materials is something, but that's true of all ships.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you were going to harvest the raw materials, and I'm happy for you to do that, obviously that would be like a serious operation. You'd have to like break it down to be able to like fit it in your cargo hold, or you'd have to tow the vessel, in which case you'd have to arrange how you were going to do that. So that would be quite involved. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it is like it's an operation to do that, rather than just like.
I say we go deeper.
Yeah, suggest we move on.
Yeah, so certainly raw materials is not making us the kind of money that we came here to make, right?
No. We can pick up scrap anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay,
Defiant, after you. Also, John, if my sensors are showing me what I can see,
indeed, they are.
I'll let the Defiant know there's small signatures up in here, smaller than the one that I'm next to, and there's a bigger one similar to the one I'm next to over here, more to the left. So a cluster of small ones here, a bigger one here.
Indeed, and the smaller vessels you can see, because you're obviously nearer Bounty, you can pick out that those are human fighter craft.
Right, yeah.
Again, they don't appear to have any like power running through them or anything like that.
Should we check out this other big one?
Right, so I've moved us 3 spaces.
Okay. So obviously, if you want to sort of like deep scan something, just ping it and let me know what you want, which one you want to scan. You can only scan like one a turn, obviously. But if you just left click and hold down, it should ping.
I'll just wait for the bounty to move up to us now.
Okay, so if we're going that away, I suppose I'll try and stick behind. We'll do 4 again, John. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Absolutely fine. So you swing away from the wreckage of the blockade runner and again head behind the Defiant.
Can we ping that?
Yeah, not a problem. So again, you need to, it's short range, so again you just need to make a save the same way as you did last time. And this is this represents basically you trying to sort of weed out the interference and stuff like that. Okay, so unfortunately with this one, there does seem to be a bit of interference around it, perhaps from nearby vessels or wreckage, and you're not able to get much detail. However, you're able to establish that it does appear to be again of human manufacture. It appears to be some sort of gunship, although the details are a little bit vague. It seems to be mostly intact. You're not picking up any life signs, but again, there's no power running through it.
Okay.
Want me to just take a closer look again?
No, I want you to go over here.
Right. So I guess because there's no turn order, right? Aside from like
So you'd
taking
have-
in increments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
we
we're,
can-
we're
we
not
can
in
do
any
a
sort
s-
of combat at the minute, so you can do
Yeah.
it as you guys see fit.
We can do a switcheroo. So it's gonna be you guessed it. It's gonna be 4. So
That's fine. You're obviously loving the high octane like fightercraft life, keeping your thrusters at maximum.
yep. So we'll do this, and
And don't forget, you can also choose to like focus your scanners on like a single hex if you wish, in the same manner that the Defiant has been doing.
I'll tag this one as well as I fly by. the
Okay,
Defiant.
so make a save.
Death poison sounds good.
Yep, they're all the same. Doesn't matter which one you pick.
Oh no, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
How is
again,
that a success?
as you it depends on what your like individual saves are, but we'll roll with it for now. Okay, so you travel past the gunship, doing a bit of a sort of flyby again. You can see that there is some damage on the outskirts of the sort of outer shell of the gunship. You can see that it has like bristling weapons all over it, as you'd expect from such a vessel. It appears to have been like disabled rather than destroyed. You would estimate that only like 25% of the vessels maybe like permanently out of commission, but as you travel past using both the way and your scanning systems, you are absolutely certain that there is no signs of life whatsoever on this vessel.
Okay, so I'll say so. Defiant, pinged, and then we have like a grid coordinate for that particular vessel. I pinged the vessel. My scan is showing it's completely dead. There's nothing there.
But if it's intact, it might be a good one to try and land on and salvage some.
It might.
These human ships, John, are they like hundreds of years old, or are they like the same ships that we would see in action today?
They're extremely old, like say more on the sort of hundreds of years old arena. You do recognise them. Obviously, you guys have encountered Dominion ships before. They all, because it's like a military sort of industrial sort of complex, effectively. All of their ships tend to be built to like stock patterns with like adaptions on them for certain uses. You can obviously tell this is a gunship by the weapons. It's built on like the sort of standard like Dominion chassis that you would expect. However, it's obviously a much more primitive version of it. It's like an earlier version of it than the Dominion ships you would expect to see now. This is obviously like an old Dominion ship.
I think we should board it and see if there's anything worth salvaging off it.
Also, Defiant, be advised. 4 small signatures here. They're all fighters. 3 bigger ones similar to this. John, what did you say this one was? It's
Okay, that's a blockade runner.
blockade runner. So, looking like there's blockade runners here, and then something else here of a similar size. Also, be advised, big one here.
One thing you do notice is the one here and the larger vessel here, they are most definitely not of human design.
All right.
You're not sure what race they do come from, but they're not of the same sort of modular design that the Dominion vessels have.
Yeah. This
I think
one,
we should press on,
not sure about the silhouette, but it might be a carrier of some kind. Not sure.
You're more interested in that than something that's out of date.
It's a valid point.
I wonder, could we reactivate the gunship though, since it's in good nick? And even an out-of-date gunship might be.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
Now,
It's not
obviously,
going
Yeah, you know it's in fairly good repair, but to determine how long it would take to like make it flyable, basically, you need to send like someone over to have a look at it, or like an engineer or something like that.
And I am a mechanic slash engineer, so
Indeed.
I could drop onto it and see how long it was going to take if you wanted to go and check out the next one. Just don't forget where
Doesn't
I
that
am.
leave you in a bit precarious position though? If the hull suddenly ruptures.
Well, yeah, it's on like an already sort of slightly perforated vessel in like a spacesuit, basically.
But the spacesuit would last 24 hours, so as long as you didn't forget where I was.
It's more the turning round to get back to you.
As you're saying that, Judo Finale, your one-handed man that you picked up on a Skirdy, he leans over to you, Balan, and he says, "Well, I know my way around a hydro spanner and I've got my own suit I brought with me if you need some help."
Yeah, why don't me and June will head over. We'll see whether we can get it reactivated.
Okay, so you'll need the Defiant to move adjacent to the vessel, so that basically you'll sort of like head out of the airlock and use like your like thrusters on your like suits to just like you over.
Is it that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. 1, 2.
Okay, so you've gone down to 2 thrust. So the Defiant pulls alongside, which gives both Balan and Judo time to like get into their suits, etc. And since like the Defiant's pretty much flying over the top of it, sort of pretty slowly, because you're like at manoeuvring speed, you literally just have to like get in the airlock and sort of like drop out of the back of the ship. I know you're obviously not actually dropping, but you just push yourself off out of the ship and you drift down towards this vessel. As you and your companion are approaching it, as I say, it's obviously a gunship. Looking at it, it's very lightly damaged. There's no power running through it, and as you explore the ship during the rest of your turn, you see that most of the systems are active. Well, that they can be made active, but there's some light damage. It would take you normally it would take you D6 rounds to bring these systems back online and repair them. You've satisfied yourself there's no crew. You do find a few unfortunate sort of like vacuum desiccated like corpses, human, on board the ship. But since you have an assistant, Judo Finale is also like skilled in tech, I would say it would only take you 1d4 rounds to bring it back online. So if you want to roll me a d4. Okay, so it's going to take you 4 rounds to bring the systems back online. Yourself and Judo start doing that, and basically what you're having to do is you're having to restart the power plant in the ship, which obviously hasn't been running for a while, so you're having to make sure all that's running, and then you're having to like reroute some of the circuitry and the power lines around like the damaged areas to compensate for it. But you both get on that. That's going to take you 4 rounds. So Defiant, what are you doing?
I would like Tarn at this point to go ahead, because we're going to go into that narrow corridor ahead of us and look at that alien ship.
Okay, just to make you guys aware, there is also like an area of sort of like quite dense debris here that you can see sort of like between those vessels. So if you move through that hex, you can do, but that will involve like a piloting roll to get through without your ship like taking damage from any of the rocks or anything like that. And you expect some of the damage on these ships has been caused by these rocks sort of like colliding with them and bouncing off them effectively.
Yeah, my plan is to get the Defiant to here.
Okay.
Very slowly, whilst Tarn moves to here.
Okay, so if that's what you're going for, guys, make your moves. Don't forget you can only move like an increment for every hex you travel. So feel free to move yourselves.
So I'm moving at 1.
Okay.
Okay. So, what did you say the maximum was?
The maximum for you is 4.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Presuming that the Defiant doesn't take up the entire space.
No, it doesn't. You can move through spaces with the vessels. Obviously, you can go underneath them or over them. So it's fine.
So we'll go like this.
Okay. That's not a problem. So, as you fly towards this huge ship, and it is massive even compared to the gunship. I mean, it's a literal dreadnought of a ship. However, it's been massively damaged. It's almost been obliterated, and what you're looking at is just like large fragments of the vessel that are sort of like floating in space. You just looking at it as you're going close, Bounty, you're like, there ain't no way that the system's getting repaired on that ship. There's not enough ship to repair. And also you are not picking up any life signs whatsoever. But the bits of the vessel you can see sort of lazily spinning through the void of space. Again, they have a very sort of alien, streamlined sort of look to them. And as you sort of like get nearer the rear of the vessel, you can see that what appears to be like either the power plant maybe, or like the thrusters, you're not sure, the sort of like the bump bit on the back of it doesn't look like any sort of power supply or thruster array that you've seen before.
So is there more to be scanned if I do my ping?
You think there probably isn't with this, just because you can see the devastation. It's just big hulks of metal. So you think it's probably not worth training your scanners on.
Yeah, there's probably not a lot there to scan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
obviously you could scan one of the other ships around yourself.
Yeah. I'll do one of these.
Okay, not a problem. So again, make a saving throw.
Nope.
Okay, so you attempt to scan what you think is the human fighter, but there seems to be some sort of odd refraction of your sort of sensor beams coming off the large ship that you're by the side of, like the bigger chunks of it that are sort of scattering your sensor array, making it very difficult for you to pinpoint stuff.
Defiant, be advised, the big alien ship, and I say ship in the loosest sense of the word, is barely here. It's mostly chunks in space. Not a lot there to see.
Okay, but try and get a signature off it so we can scan for more of those types of ship.
Oh yeah, I have a sketch, and it is a sketch and shall remain so, because it's quite hard to put it together because it's devastated.
That's fine. At least we've got some kind of signature we can reference. I've never seen anything like that.
Oh yeah, there's probably a lot of that up in here. Everything's very old.
Indeed. So while you're discussing that, obviously Balan and Judo are continuing to reroute power couplings, bringing this power generator online. There's 3 rounds to go before you've got this up and running. Now, I do have to confess, I don't actually have like a movable token for a gunship, so I'll have to use like the blockade runner one, but you know, we'll just have to roll with it. Because obviously these ones on the map, they're not actual tokens you can move. But when and if you get it repaired, I'll replace it with like a blockade runner, and I'll give you control over that so you can actually like move that.
Oh.
Okay, so
Turning into a fleet.
indeed,
1 ship each.
Yeah.
one ship to roll them all. Okay. So, what do you want to do next, guys?
So I'm going to move forward 2 next.
Okay, go for it. Yep, so likewise, you sort of head towards the fragments of this large alien vessel, and as I described to Tan, you can see like these huge chunks of this, what must have once been quite like a streamlined vessel, just sort of like hanging in space. It almost looks as though the thing's been like blown apart.
My plan is to fly over it.
That is absolutely fine. That will not be a problem at all. Okay, so Bounty, how about yourself?
Just drift here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll scan that one again.
Okay, so you move a little bit further away from the large amounts of floating wreckage, and you attempt to scan the smaller fighter craft again. So again, it's just a saving throw.
There we go.
Okay. So it's a human stunt fighter of archaic make and design. It's mostly around about 75% destroyed, although there's some possibility that maybe you could repair the systems. It's not absolutely totaled. You are not picking up any life signs from it, and as you sort of head over near where the cockpit area is, you see like the cockpit is cracked open and exposed to the vacuum of space. You can see like it looks as though there's been some sort of like explosive decompression has occurred, and like various sort of fragments of what must have once been like the seat and various like instrumentation in the cockpit are sort of like lazily like floating in the void nearby. Okay. Next turn. Over to you guys again.
I'm going to scan this large vessel, just the front. I want the metal signature off it.
Okay. Make a save again. Okay, so as you're scanning it, you start getting some slightly odd readings, and at first you think, oh, it's obviously these sort of problems with the scanners that we're getting due to all the debris and stuff like that. So you run the scan again a couple of times, like quickly, just to verify it, and you keep getting the same result. Although you're not picking up any like energy signatures or any life signs, you're actually picking up that since you focused on the front of the ship, specifically the metal signature, you're picking up that the actual alloy, for want of a better term, that is used to construct this ship is actually partly biological in nature.
Biological.
Indeed. So you think that when this ship was whole, it must have actually been like almost partially like a living spaceship. But obviously it's long dead because it's like blown to pieces, but you're still picking up like the residual traces of like the biological signature in the metal. It's like someone had somehow melded some like inanimate metal with some form of biological matter to make like an alloy of the two.
See, this metal could be worth something. Tarn, come and look at this metal. It's like an organic alloy.
Obviously, you don't have to actually fly over there, Tarn, if you don't want to. You could just like focus your scanners on it, or you could go in for a visual inspection. It's entirely up to you.
I guess I'll just turn the scanners over.
Okay.
So, how does this work? What does it mean to us right now that there's organic material in it? I presume it's not alive, if
No.
it ever was.
You think that it may have once been alive, like some form of biological ship, but obviously it's been blown apart. So for all intents and purposes, it is dead. But when you're sort of running your scanners out, I'm not going to make you make a roll because obviously we know that Tylo's already found out most of this with her scan. But as you're running your scan across it, it's almost like the equivalent of like if you're running your scanners across like the corpse of some sort of like great beast. But there are also qualities that are similar to like inanimate metal or ceramics. Like say like someone had taken like living tissue and inanimate sort of metal or ceramics and somehow like melded the two together to form an alloy, like partially living, partially not. But obviously now you're basically just looking at the corpse of it.
I don't know how you would maintain this, but I suppose there's I don't know, there's probably scientific value in it.
At which point, roll me a d6, please.
2.
Okay, so as you're running your scanners across it and you're concentrating on it, sort of in your head, in the background, almost like you can't hear it distinctly. It's like you're listening to it from down the end of a long corridor. You hear like the murmured sort of shouting of numerous voices, sounding quite panicked, but you can't make out any of the words. But there seem to be like a number of different languages and different tones of voice all jumbled together, like sort of white crowd noise. And then there's like a loud explosion and the voices are cut off.
Yep. I do not say anything about this on the comms.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Good. Yeah, I will sit in contemplation now. Having said that,
Okay, so on to the next turn. Balan, you and Judo are still working. You have one more round, so at the start of the next round, you'll have got the ship up and running. So what I'm going to do, whilst Bounty and Defiant, whilst you think about what you're doing, I'm going to remove the note from this. Then I'm going to remove the tile from it. So let's get rid of that. Of course the note's getting in the way of me doing stuff. That's useful. Okay, here we go. So unprotect that, delete that, and then I'm going to find a blockade runner.
I just realized, Balan, your new ship, will have old transponder codes for when we land on, forest moons or something. Ancient, 400 years old.
Still works.
Okay, I'm just checking to see if I can make it so that you guys can move that. Okay, have a go at moving that gunship token, Rob. See if you can move it.
Can't seem to select it.
Right, okay. Just give me a second.
Oh, hang on, I might actually be on the wrong thing on that.
It's all right on the second.
Oh,
Right.
I can. Yeah, I can do it now. Yeah.
Okay, lovely, nice one. Okay, so at the end of the round, you'll have that moving. So, right, so Defiant Bounty. What are you up to this round?
You go first.
So, what's the plan, Defiant?
I'm going to scan this ship here.
Okay, so again, it's one that appears of a strange alien configuration. Again, it's mostly destroyed, but you are picking up the same sort of partially biological sort of signature. Now, obviously, now you know what you're looking for. You're picking up the same sort of semi-biological signature, but like most of the systems are fragged on it, and it's like about 75% destroyed.
Okay.
You can see like horrendous amounts of plasma burns on it, as though it was involved in like a pitched battle.
Right.
Okay. I'll do 2. Go there. And ping this one.
Okay, make your save.
Yep.
Okay, so again, it's of a similar alien construction. Again, about 75% destroyed. Again, because you also know what you're looking for. Again, you're picking up this strange sort of like partially biological signature in the metal. But again, it's pretty much fragged as far as ships go.
Yeah, I'll send the 2 scans that I did, the human fighter craft and this alien one. I'll send those over to the Defiant, just so that we have a sort of library of what we've found here.
Yep, no problems. Okay, so with the end of that turn, Balan and Judo are finally able to we've rerouted all the power couplings, we've patched it up as best we can. The scanners are still a bit subpar in it, both because they're like old AF, they're like antiquated, and also because you're having to be careful with how much power you put through the systems. You don't want to blow out any of the sort of jury rigged cables you've got running through the vessel from the power plant. But you have got it up and running. Obviously, you can now move that in the same way as the others are moving their ship. It moves at a similar speed to the Defiance at maximum 3 hexes.
Okay, and then I just had to step out for a second. Just explain how. Can I move in any direction?
Yep, you can. But basically, what you have to do is you can't sort of you have to move a hex, turn by an increment, move another hex, turn by another increment. You can't just sort of flip round on the spot.
Okay, but do I have to move forward, or can can I move up to this square here?
Yeah, because I say, you can go at your maximum speed of 3 hexes, but at the start of each turn you can set your speed. Okay. So you could move up to here, but then on the next turn, unless you set your speed to 0, you'd have to move a hex before you could turn.
Okay. So I can so if I move up to here, and then I can turn to one. I can turn to here then? Is that...
You'd only be able to turn 1, because you'd have to turn the first one after you did your first hex. Okay. You can only turn 1 increment for each hex you move.
Okay. Okay, so I'm somewhere like this then, am I?
Yeah.
Is that...
Yeah,
okay.
basically, yeah.
And then can I move to this square in my next go then?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And what I'd like to do while I'm doing that is get a rundown of the ship's log, anything that it might tell us about why it was abandoned, and an inventory list if such a thing might be available.
Okay, make me a saving throw to see how much you managed to salvage of the ship's log.
That was so close to being a 19. Very little.
Okay, so you've only managed to salvage a very small amount, and it's not like a recording. It's literally like sort of teleprompter style text, because like I say, it's an antiquated piece of kit. You've managed to salvage that this gunship was involved in a combat against something it refers to as the Zol.
Okay.
But that's really all you're able to salvage from it.
Okay. So I'll ship that information across to the other ships in case they find similar type stuff.
Okay, yep, so the rest of you guys, you start receiving this signal from this sort of like gaffer taped together sort of like antiquated gunship that's like sort of lurching along. Obviously Balan knows like the sort of like the codes that you guys use with your transponders, so you know it's coming from him, and he sends you across this message that he's managed to decode a fragment of the very damaged log from the gunship, and that it was involved in a fight or a combat against something known as the Zol, although whether that's a species, a type of ship, an organisation, you don't know. However, as we get to the next turn, all three of you suddenly start picking up an energy signature. It's coming from here, and it just like appears on your scope. As it appears, you basically watch as there appears to be like a ripple in space, and what looks to be a sort of hexagonal sort of structure with a number of weapons, you think, although they're not of human design, mounted on it. You can see at least what look to be like 4 weapons, sort of like one on each point, leaving 2 free. And it seems to be sort of like slowly like bringing itself back online. You're basically getting the like as it's powering up. That's why your sensors are picking up, and you will start seeing like the sort of like the red like proximity sensors start bleeping on your vessels.
Oak.
Okay, so the Defiant activates its cloaking device, which I'm just going to check the rules for. If shield activates its shield. Okay, so you have to take your shields down, and you can't fire while your weapon is cloaked. So your shields come down, you activate the cloak, and to anyone who is watching, the Defiant seems to shimmer briefly, and then it vanishes. Okay, Bounty, what do you do? And I'm going to put the Defiant back on so you can like move it, but I'll put like a little thing next to it so we know it's cloaked. Let's see what we've got. What symbol can I use for cloaked? Oh, that one will do.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see the Defiant, but there's like a little sort of eye symbol next to it to represent it's cloaked.
I'll ping this.
Okay, not a problem. So you're going to attempt to scan it.
Yeah.
Make your save.
Nope. Definitely not.
Okay, so really all you're picking up is that it's of an alien design. Like I say, everything on it appears to be these strange sort of rhomboid and like hexagonal shapes. It's obviously alien. You can tell by like the pitting on the metal that it's very, very old, like older than this conflict, and it doesn't appear to have a similar design to the other alien ships you've seen. And it's very obviously like powering up.
Yeah. How intact is this ship?
The weapon platform seems entirely intact. It just has like surface, like minor abrasions on the surface.
Right. Okay. 4 speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the idea being that I want to hide as much as possible behind it.
That is absolutely fine. So, before we go any further, I can't believe I forgot the most important thing. Balan, what are you going to call your new ship?
Old
DGS 13145. So Dominion gunship 13145. I'm actually not sure if you can fix the visibility on it. It doesn't seem to have any.
Yeah, I'll sort that out in a second. So,
No, that's just you not having scanners. flying by your eyes only.
so DGS
13145.
13145. Okay. So that should have been updated. Let me just change it on the actual token. DGS 13145. And I'm going to set it to the same vision as the other vessels, so just give me a moment. So, vision. Okay. Okay, there we go. I should have hopefully sorted that out.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess what kind of weapons have come online, and it has a shield come online?
It's difficult to tell what the weapons are because they just look like sort of geometric shapes, but you are definitely picking up energy signatures that will be consistent with shields,
Okay.
although they're not of the same energy frequencies you would get from your standard like human shields.
Okay. Sorry, that's on my ship or on the.
No, that's on the gun platform.
Sorry, so I guess on my ship, I'm wondering whether the shields have come online, or what weapons have come online.
Okay. So, what I'm going to say is normally this ship has 6 laser cannons on it. So I'm going to ask you to roll me a D4, and that's how many laser cannons you've got online.
Okay, nice.
Okay, so you've got 4 laser cannons, and it normally would have 8 shields, so I'm going to ask you again to roll me a d4, and that's how much of the shields you've managed to bring online. Because obviously you've not had time to like fully repair it in like a space dock, you've sort of had to do the best.
Oh, I am on fire today.
So 4 shields, so yeah, both you and Judah have done an amazing job, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Battlestar Galactica over here.
Although obviously it doesn't have like automated weapons, so you're limited to like how many of them you can fire, because there would normally be like a larger crew with like gunners, whereas at best you've got like you piloting it, and you could have Judo like firing one of the laser cannons.
Yeah. Or if it doesn't move, I guess we could both fire, right?
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. You just like swivel your chair around to like the other station.
Yeah. Now, if I don't move, can I change to face in any direction, or do I have to be?
You have to move at least 1 hex to change your face.
Okay. And can I shoot in any direction, or? Yeah. Okay. So then, basically, what I want to do is train my weapons on it and wait to see what happens.
Okay, no problems. So At the moment, it's still powering up, and I will tell you that it will act at the end of this turn that's coming now. So again, we're over to the Defiant. You're cloaked, your shields are down. Obviously, you know, as soon as you fire your weapons, like your cloak drops.
Yep.
What do you want to do?
I'm going to maneuver on thrusters to here, and then straighten up. There.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. So moving slowly under cloak, you sort of move very slowly, like you say, with manoeuvring thrusters past the wreckage of the large alien vessel. Okay, obviously you can't send comms to other people as well while you're like cloaked.
Yeah.
Okay, Bounty.
Well, we're not gonna talk because that's not ideal for stealth. So Hmm. It's 4 again, John. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna take the long way around.
Okay, no problem at all. So as you take the long way round, you move behind what appears to be a sort of moderately dense debris field, and as you head past it, your sort of general all-purpose scanners are picking up very slight traces of radioactivity coming from the debris field. But it's no danger to you while you're in your ship.
I presume because there's radiation in space anyway. But
Of course, yeah.
But do I think there's more there to be pinged, to get more detail on it, or is this basically me looking at this, and this is what I'm thinking is this has been blown up with like traditional nuclear missiles.
Yeah, that's pretty much the vibe you're getting, because it's just like rubble and debris. You don't think there's probably a lot more for you to pick up, to be honest.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I was just thinking that if it's something else, it's probably a point defense system really that blew up like an asteroid. That's what Don thinks anyway.
Okay.
So with that, I'll ping. Did we successfully ping this one that we got the
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, cool. Thinking of that, I'll do just that. Okay, here it goes. No.
Okay, unfortunately, the radiation signal, the radiation from these asteroids is interfering with your scanners a bit. However, you're not entirely sure, but you could have thought for a moment, just as the radiation sort of dropped a little bit, that you were picking up some sort of slight life signs from this vessel here. But you can't be sure because it's difficult to get through the fog of the radioactivity.
Yeah. Well, we'll see about that next time.
Okay, DGS 13145. What's the play? You can see from your scans that this weapons platform is almost fully powered up.
Okay. I think I want to pull back just to be safe. So I want to move 3 squares directly away from us. Okay. That's not increasing the visibility, so I can't really see it.
Right, okay. I'm not really sure what I can do about that at the moment, but...
Okay.
But, however, Defiant, you notice, because you're nearest to the weapons platform, as both your sister ships sort of move away, you start registering a decrease in the power levels in the weapons platform, and once they dip below a certain level, again it appears to shimmer and it disappears from your sensors. Okay, what do you do? Defiant. It would appear that whatever this thing is, it's obviously automated with some sort of proximity sort of sensors on it. However, it does not appear to be capable of piercing your cloak, since as soon as you cloaked, it's just like not reacting to you. It was like the other two ships have gone, although it obviously has some sort of cloak or sensor sort of jamming itself, because once it powered down, it just like vanished off the sensors.
I'm going to scan this area.
Okay, so this will be quite difficult, but you can make me a save, and I'll take into account the modifier. Okay, the only thing you're really picking up is that it's incredibly ancient and of an alien design. You're not able to pick up any more before it cloaks itself.
That's fine, because at least now I'll know that the sensor's not activating it. It's actually the ship.
Yeah, you're pretty sure that it's like a proximity thing. It's obviously got scanners running, and they must be fairly sort of like low level, because it was only when you guys got very near that it sort of powered up. As soon as like everyone else who wasn't cloaked withdrew to a certain distance, it just powered itself down again. Which is why you also think it's probably automated, because if it was manned, they'd know there were ships out there and they'd stay powered up.
Yeah.
Okay. Bounty. Obviously both you and the DGS are also aware this thing's disappeared off your sensors.
Well, I don't think I'll send a message to anyone before I hear from the Defiant, just because I know that we have the cloaking device there.
Of course.
So basically, the hierarchy of like what the DEFCON level is starts at the top with the Defiant. So, well, what I'll do is I'll continue circling around. So we'll do another 4. 2, 3, and because I see DGS, I'll do a slight dodge there at the end. Okay, so again, I'll do a concentrated scan on that one.
Okay.
As I fly by.
Same procedure as before.
Come on, nope, even worse.
Okay, so you're still not picking up much extra. However, you are still getting these like very faint, intermittent life signs coming from the vessel. And you can roll me a d6 now you're a bit closer.
2 again.
Okay, you're sensing like a very vague presence on board the mostly wrecked vessel. However, it's very faint and sort of very muted, almost like if you were sensing like the thoughts of someone who was sleeping. Okay, so DGS, hopefully you should be able to see better now.
Yeah, I can definitely.
And that's obviously Judo like bringing the scanners online, not me just like working out on the token. Ugh.
Right. So I don't want to go back anywhere near that weapons station. Okay, so what I'd like to do, John, is to scan this, what I'm presuming is an alien ship here.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be of alien design. You could tell that without a detailed scan. So you're within short range, so if you want to make me a saving throw.
No.
Okay, so all you're really picking up is that it's of alien design, and it's very heavily damaged, like 50% destroyed. You're not picking up any life signs from it. You would guess maybe from the size, although it's of an alien design, that it's maybe some kind of star cruiser, but that's just an educated guess.
Okay. Okay. So I guess I'll come out to Tan over the radio and ask what is our plan? Are we just kind of moving from ship to ship, or are we looking for something specific? Do we
Well, seeing that we are still not shooting, even though there was something in there, I guess we might be good to just continue sifting through. Also, there's definitely cryo storage with sentient on this ship.
Okay. Do you want to? Should we get on it and have a look and see?
I don't think it's a. We're not in a hurry. They've been there for who knows how long, so that's just something to keep in mind for maybe before we leave. See what happens. But if someone's there, they will be people out of time. Century is probably out of their own time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it would be more cruel to wake them up or not. But like I said, it's not in a hurry. They are probably in cryo.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, let's... I'm waiting for Tylo to give the all clear, because she was closer, but I saw she got the cloak off. And we're not shooting, so I guess it's okay now. But yeah.
Okay. Is there any way for us to tag the map, John?
I don't think there is offhand.
Okay.
I'm afraid. Okay. So, speaking of the Defiant, as you're like creeping forwards under cloak, Togger, the Clayson mercenary, who is the only other person on board the Defiant now, along with yourself, Tylo, sort of like enters the cockpit effectively. This huge sort of like rusty blue reptilian creature, sort of obviously has been like keeping an eye on what's been going on with the weapon platforms, whatever. Sort of leans in and says, "If we could take that back for Corper would pay you a tidy sum for something as ancient as that."
So how do you propose we take it out?
Well, I'm not really a technical person, but I was thinking blow it up.
All right.
If you get enough people, take the shields down, get some of your fancy dancy like missiles onto it, boom.
Fair enough. So I'm going to move the ship.
Okay.
That should be safe, and then I'll put the shields back on and the weapons back on.
Okay, not a problem. So your cloak deactivates as you bring the shields back up, and you bring your weapons online. You don't register any sign of the weapon platform powering up again or like decloaking at the moment.
Okay, right, guys. Our esteemed guest would like us to capture that weapons platform.
And in the background of like the comms, you guys hear Togger in his sort of like gruff reptilian voice saying, "Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you've got to take it out. All I'm saying is, Corpacora would pay you a tidy sum for something like that. I mean, Lord only knows how old that is. It's not like anything I've ever seen before."
would it be of use to her if it's largely destroyed?
Hey, listen, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but it's alien tech. It's old. In my experience, that means money.
How would we do that? And how intact?
It'll blow the shit out of me.
Quick question, John.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a mechanics question.
That's fine.
If a ship is cloaked,
Mm-hmm.
can someone leave it through a port? In space.
Oh yeah, easily. And obviously, once you leave physically the cloaking field that's around it, you become visible. But the ship doesn't become visible.
Yeah.
It's only if it uses like things with like energy, like shields or weapons, that the cloak deactivates.
I wonder, could we bring it back online and then have someone leave the cloaked ship and land on the weapons station? Because they look like ship weapons, right, John? They're not.
Yeah.
So they're
The only
not
way that
anti-
thing's coming online is by one ship that's not cloaked being very close to it.
Yeah. So if the bounty went close to it and activated it and then flew away really fast, it would be activated for a little while, and during that time, while it was powering up, a number of people could leave the Defiant cloaked and land on the platform and see if we could deactivate the platform internally.
Yeah, but the bounty's going to have to be around for a couple of minutes while you find an entrance way. Otherwise, you're going to be in its cloak field. I don't know how good it is.
Yeah. Now I have shields, so I could activate it. If Tan, you wanted to drop off the Defiant with Torga.
Well, so how are we? You're the bait, and then with the Defiant, we do what exactly?
You drop out of the spaceship into orbit and then use your thrusters to land on the platform.
Right. So you take the target locks. The Defiant goes in with the stealth. We go out the airlock.
Yes.
Also, need to point out, we don't know how good those weapons are.
No.
Oh yeah, that is. Mm-hmm.
But we do believe that they're anti-ship weapons and not anti-personnel weapons.
Oh, they would be. Yeah, I think that is a very safe assumption.
We've rattled the shields up. We have some laser cannons. I think we can take a round from it.
Do you have escape pods?
Do we have escape pods, Sean? No. Okay. No. But we do have spacesuits. So
Right.
If it got really bad, we could eject ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and you could come and pick us up.
Yeah, it probably. Yeah. Yeah, no, if you have shields, then I think, well, hopefully it's not large enough really to be unless the tech is just
Oh,
incredible.
look at these ships around us.
Because they've taken an absolute hammering. So unless it fires really quickly, I'm thinking if you have some shields, you could probably take a hit and drift behind a ship for safety. Because the rest of this, it's not like a hit or two. It's been bombarded with plasma. But it might be plasma that you're looking at, so...
Yeah, and we do have shields, so...
Right. So, are we doing this?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay. So, with that, I guess, the idea is... I'll get back towards the Defiant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll rendezvous.
Yeah. So, John, a question. The Defiant probably doesn't have like a landing bay for fighters. Yeah. So, is the fighter equipped with, I don't know, mag clamps so that I could fly onto the Defiant, clamp on?
Yeah, it would have basic grappling capacity, yeah.
Yeah. So that would be what we do then. I fly at the Defiant, land on the Defiant's hull, get my spacesuit on, and then we'll do the thing.
Okay, move yourself over to the Defiant then.
I don't know if you want to track turns,
Yeah,
John.
yeah,
or-
I'm tracking it, it's fine.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 2 turns, and then 2.5 to get on to the Defiant.
I'm sure I could move it to there, so you're only at 2.
Oh yeah, of course you can meet me halfway. So.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so you guys meet up. I'll just make another quick random encounter roll, since I'll say a couple of turns have passed. See if anything happens. Okay, no, nothing untoward happens. Obviously, you can take a couple of moves yourself. DGS 13145.
I guess I'm just waiting for the all clear, because as soon as I move back to where I was, I'm expecting the weapon station to come online.
Okay, no problems. So the bounty moves alongside the Defiant, and you like magna clamp it onto the side.
We're going to have to declamp as well, because it's not going to cloak another ship.
I will.
We're better
Yeah,
off
okay.
mag clamping onto one of the hulls in
Yeah.
your spacesuit and then just waiting there.
Yeah. So how about we do it like this? You come well south on our grid here, and let's meet like here, and I'll have put the bounty on this blockade runner, and then put my spacesuit on and just toss myself
Into
at
the
Defiant.
void. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So you obviously you pull like close alongside. You magna clamp the bounty on top of this derelict vessel, and you like you say you pretty much like launch yourself off and like grab onto the side of the Defiant. You're tracking him on sensors, Tylo, because obviously you've discussed this as a plan, and you can see when he's like grappled on the side. Obviously, you've still got comms in your suit, so you sort of shout through that you've grabbed hold of the side of it, and as long as the Defiant doesn't like go to full power, you should be all right. As long as it moves fairly slowly.
Yep. And if necessary, I can come in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, for now, unless we're intending on going full blast, which I don't think we are necessarily because we don't have to, I'll hang on to the hull.
So if you want to cloak then and move closer, I'll move up and activate the station. Okay, and then what I am doing is...
Okay, so you activate your cloak.
Yeah, and that's 1.5 turns.
Yep.
Okay, so then... And then 3, which I think is where I was when I activated last.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely correct. And I'm just going to move you slightly so I can Defiant, so I can click on the weapons platform, but you are over the top of it. So again, there's this ripple in space, and you register the power signature of this weapon platform as it decloaks, starting to power up. It seems to be powering up more quickly this time, as like previously it was in like a hibernation mode, whereas now it's just like it was just like powered down. So it is powering up, but it's powering up more rapidly than previous. And it seems to be, obviously you know the sort of properties, but it seems to be like when something gets within like 2 hexes of it, that seems to be when it starts like activating.
Okay.
I'll give my guys the good to go.
Okay, so from what I understand of the plan, correct me if I'm wrong, Tan is going to basically like jump out of the airlock with his spacesuit on, using his like thrusters, and sort of like land himself on top of this alien weapons platform. Is that correct?
Yep. Preferring to avoid any structures that look like the actual weapons.
Yeah. What you can see is the weapons appear to be sort of like pyramidal in shape and sort of like mounted like spikes around the edge of this like this sort of hexagonal shaped weapons platform. It has like a flat sort of area on the top and like a hole in the center, like a ring in the center.
The weapons are on the rim.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that makes it easier to avoid the weapons.
Yeah, and to be honest, knowing what you know about shipboard weapons, the problem with like shooting at people with shipboard weapons is they're meant to shoot at like big ship-sized targets. So if you can hit someone with a shipboard weapon, you will annihilate them instantly. However, hitting them is a different matter entirely, and you don't even know whether this is made to register like humans. But yeah,
We'll find out.
you launch yourself into the black beyond and drift out of the docking bay of the Defiant, drifting through space towards the weapon platform. It gets closer and closer, and then eventually your feet touch down on this flat, strangely iridescent metal that seems to make up this platform. You obviously activate like your Magna boots, so as soon as your feet touch down, there's like a as your boots clamp onto it, and once more you feel the reassuring feeling of a solid surface below your feet rather than the void. What do you want to do? Well, that's all right. I'll jump over to the DGS.
Yep.
DGS. What do you want to do? Obviously, you've on your scanners, you've like seen this tiny blip sort of head towards the weapon platform.
So I guess I'm trying to do whatever I can to put all of the power into the front, the forward-facing shields.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Yep, no problems. Obviously, you know, given the rate it's powering up at now, sort of like you've basically got your action and then it's going to be powered up.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we're bracing for impact.
Yep, so I'm going to make a roll for the ancient weapons platform, which is going to fire one of its lasers, for want of a better term, at you. And I'm pretty sure with that abysmal roll, it's probably not hit you, but I will check. No, it does not hit you. So you briefly see one of these sort of like pyramidal constructions sort of seems to light up, and what looks like a blast or a beam of pure energy lances out towards your ship. However, perhaps its sensors aren't fully calibrated yet, or it's not fully powered up, and the beam sort of goes a good like 50 meters wide and briefly sort of like illuminates the side of your vessel as this beam just like straight past it.
Nice.
Okay, so we're on to the next turn. I'm going to shift to starting with Tan, because obviously he's like boots on the ground on this thing. So Tan, what do you want to do?
So in the chat we had Balan asking about Torga. Would it have been feasible to have him on the platform as well? Because we did discuss that like very briefly at the beginning and then forgot all about him. Is he even into like participating in this? Or?
Yeah, that's fine. Togger will go with you. He seems quite up for the idea, actually.
Okay, cool. So I'll have told him to grab like a toolbox if we have any on the ship, or like bring something, because I was in a fighter. I don't have other than my own stuff.
He sort of like grabs a few things which like aren't toolboxes and sort of goes like, "Do you mean this? What about this?" Which blatantly lets you know he has no technical expertise whatsoever. Like he doesn't even know what a toolbox is. But eventually you're like, "No, that over there," and he grabs like a toolbox.
Yep.
One thing you do notice about Togger is like, wait, obviously we're sort of rolling this back a little bit, but as you're like togged up in your suit, you're getting ready to jump out, you notice that Togger's not actually wearing a suit.
Is this peculiar? Do we have experience with species?
There are some races that can like survive limited exposure in vacuum, and he does have like this massively like scaly sort of like armored hide, so perhaps he can survive in vacuum. Probably not forever.
Yeah, forever. No,
but certainly for like some period of time, you would assume, given the fact he's not bothered about getting a suit.
Well, I suppose I'll let him do what he does. he knows best.
Okay, so the two of you jump. Obviously, like he puts like a little like sort of subvocal communicator on. You both land on the weapons platform as previously described. You both are almost blinded by this flash of light as it fires it towards the DGS 13145. But as the sort of like the after image fades from your retina, you can see that it's not struck the gunship, and you can see sort of like almost like bands of like light are sort of starting to slowly sort of glow on all the surfaces you can see as like this thing's powering up.
So, am I right in thinking it had a hole in the middle?
That's correct, yeah. Almost like a donut.
How big is the diameter of the hole?
The hole is pretty substantial. You could like fit a fightercraft through.
Cool. Yeah, okay, good. So, I'll let my fellow technical expert here know that we should probably get on the inside ring.
He nods.
So we'll get there, and then honestly, what we'll do is we'll start just detaching panels if possible, and seeing if we can pull out enough stuff that it stops firing.
Okay, no problems. Make me a saving throw. I'll take into account a modifier because you've got Togger helping you, and he's pretty good at like randomly destroying things.
Yep. I'm gonna continue using my death poison because that's what this seems.
Also, what weapon or implement are you using?
It would be like whatever tools in the box, and also I have my. I suppose my tools would be my sword, the mono sword, because I don't want to let him know, and also my laser pistol. So laser pistol basically for like if there's space bolts, then like just fire it until it melts.
Okay, so after a few moments, you've managed to pull off enough panels that you could now gain access to the interior, and it was quite difficult because all of these panels seem to be like very flush with each other. It was difficult to find a join, but eventually you do. You pulled off enough panels so you can gain access to like the inside of it, but you don't think you've pulled off enough panels to like stop the guns working. You've just basically pulled like bits of the whole plating up.
Yeah. So now we're into the part where we need to get the wiring.
Yeah, and obviously I'm effectively giving you like a bit of extra sort of action here because obviously like ships moving and whatever takes a lot longer even though it's around. So yeah, you've got access to the interior. What do you want to do?
What's the insides like? Are we talking actual wires or?
Now, as you look inside, you can see what appear to be a bewildering variety of geometric 3D shapes, sort of like dotted all around, that appear to be like coming out of walls. There appears to be no particular rhyme or reason to it. You can't see anything that you recognise as like a circuit board or a power cable or anything like that. The only thing that you notice is that all of the surfaces have these lines of light running across them that are getting like steadily brighter as it's powering up.
Experimentally, take my mono sword in two hands and like drag it across one of these light lines.
Okay, you drag it across one of these light lines, and the light appears to sort of like flicker on and off for a few moments as you're doing it. Once you move your sword away, it restarts again. However, roll me a d6.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay. So as you're doing this, you hear like there's like an audible sort of like sensation of like almost like static in the air, and what appears to be a sort of hologram. You think a sort of semi-transparent hologram of an armor-suited humanoid with 4 long arms, sort of like appears in the passageway that you're sort of walking through. And as you're sort of like looking around, you suddenly feel like a slight vibration, and you notice Togger goes
What is it?
And he turns towards you, and he sort of like taps his head and then gestures at your helmet. And he basically like
What is it?
He puts his head right up against your helmet so like you can hear him a little bit, and you hear his muffled voice go, "I can breathe."
That's great. Let me know when that stops. I'll be keeping this on for now.
He nods, and then he points at the hologram, and he says, he's still got his face like mashed against the side of your helmet, so you can hear him. He's like, "That thing's talking."
Okay. This is really dumb. I say as I take off my helmet.
You take off your helmet, and you find that you can breathe quite freely. And as you do, you can hear that the hologram is indeed talking, and it appears to be cycling through various different languages. Like every time it says a sentence, then like, the language seems to change. It says another sentence, language changes, says another sentence.
Yep. I only speak unless I forget what we established about languages. I have 12 intelligence. That probably doesn't get me any extras.
No.
So I only speak Galactic Gaelic. So
Indeed. Okay, so you wait for a short while, and eventually after like a few minutes, it cycles around to like a version of Galactic Basic, and as it does so, it says in what sounds like quite an electronic, almost like an auto-tuned voice from this like 4-armored figure. You can't really see its face, it's got like a helmet on. It says, "You are now aboard Saurian Weapon Platform 4. Authorization is not granted."
hello. I'll shout out.
The hologram turns to look at you, and then it says, "Automated basic response systems activated." In common.
Is there a place to take cover in here?
Yeah, there's like all these like bizarre shapes around.
Yeah.
You could duck behind one of them. It doesn't take any other action. It just says like response systems activated, and then turns to like look at you. Well, you assume it's looking at you because it's got this helmet on with no features on it.
Okay. Well, immediate action would be to get my friend, and we'll go behind one of these geometric shapes, and wait for just a bit.
Yep.
See what happens.
You wait for a bit. Nothing further seems to happen. The hologram remains where it is, like looking in your direction. It flickers occasionally, ever so slightly.
Okay. Well, I'll say to my companion, that probably means we have limited time, so we need to go in and we need to find something to disrupt this. The light can be disrupted, but I don't think we have enough cement to put like blocks on all this light, so we need to go in.
As you're saying that, the Claison Togger who's with you, he like Rick. He's wearing like a sort of like a vest with like pouches on. He reaches inside his pouch and he takes like a big grenade and he's like,
I sort of motion around. I'm like, that's great. However, where do you plan on putting that? Because I don't know. Can you tell like what is what? Because this is not built for our sensibilities.
He says in what you assume sarcasm. He's like, oh yeah. I can't go a day without wandering through an ancient weapons platform.
You're really helpful.
He's like, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm mainly here to make sure you don't run off with the boss's stuff.
Okay.
And to make sure you go through on your bargain. I didn't imagine I'd be floating through space, blowing up ancient weapon platforms. Don't get me wrong, I'm willing to pitch in and help out because it gets the boss what she wants. But I'm not an expert in these things, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, well, you hold on to that. That's a very good idea, but we need to find the place to put it because we don't know how this works.
Right.
So the plan would then be, John, to for us to go in a little deeper and try and find something that looks significant, stands out a little bit more, and maybe bomb it.
Okay, not a problem. So you start doing that. Okay, so Defiant, you're still cloaked. You can see the weapons platform's powered up. It's already fired once. What are you doing?
I'm going to move up and off to the side.
Okay, no problem. Feel free to move yourself.
That's effectively where I am on the map
Yeah.
at the moment, yeah.
So, DGS 13145, what are you doing? Obviously, you're in the firing line, so to speak.
Yeah, so what I want to try and do is move up to, here. So just one, and then I want to raise my height, I guess, for want of a better word, so that this other ship is between the guns and me, in the hope that I'll get some cover from it. But I'm still close enough that I should keep the sensors activated.
Okay, absolutely no problems at all. So again, one of these pyramidal structures starts glowing and another beam of light lances out. Obviously, it's not going to miss the stationary ship. So as you watch this beam of light lances out and it pretty much annihilates the alien vessel that's between you and it, you watch as like this light hits it and it explodes outwards in numerous fragments.
Okay.
Okay, so back to Tan on board the weapons platforms. You're trying to find what you think is a significant area. So again, make me a saving throw because you're pretty much just like guessing because you don't have a clue what any of this stuff is.
Yeah. This is not what we're good at. Nope.
Okay, however, roll me a d3.
That's a 2.
Okay, as you start moving more towards what you think must be like the central part of this weapons platform, you're starting to feel more and more the presence of the way all around you. It's almost like a very strong sort of like palpable sense.
Does my friend react to it in any way?
Togger seems entirely unaware of it.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll keep going.
Okay, not a problem.
But I guess that allows me to triangulate a way for us then, so to speak.
Indeed.
And I'll use that to guide us forward, like towards whatever this is.
Okay, so after several minutes, you make your way to the centre of the weapons platform, and as you do, you see what appears to be a figure. Again, very similar to almost identical to the hologram you saw, though this is physical, of a large, sort of like 8 foot tall alien of some kind, wearing a form-fitting armoured suit, concealing helmet, 4 arms, so one set of arms folded across its chest, lying in the centre of a chamber, and all these like sort of beams of light, these strings of light, seem to sort of like join on it in the centre of it. And clasped across its chest, between two of its arms, is what looks very reminiscent of a star sword, albeit of a slightly strange design.
Yeah. Is it the beams, the strings of light? How are they connected? Like, are they going into this person or to some like instrumentation?
They seem to sort of run up to the area of run along the floor to the area where the form is lying, and then they sort of go underneath it.
Right. Okay. And the form is immobile, I suppose.
It doesn't appear to be moving. Like I say, it's lying down.
Yeah.
It's got 2 sets of arms, one clasped across its chest, the other by its side.
Friend, can you put a timer on that?
Yeah, of course I can.
Can you deactivate it afterwards?
He says, "Well, yeah, as long as I'm holding it, yeah, of course I can. But like, if I plant it, set a timer, and run away, I'm not be too keen to go back to it, to be honest."
Right. "2 minutes. Hold on to it for now, but set it for 2 minutes, and
he starts fiddling like a dial on the grenade.
And if things go wrong, outer wall, toss it there. Be ready to take a jump into space. I'm going to see what happens here. But if nothing happens, I'm okay. You're okay. Maybe defuse it before it goes. We don't need to blow a hole in the wall unless we have to."
He says, "Well, all right, yeah."
Okay, here we go. So you might see some things. I'm not sure what.
He looks around and he's like, "No, really?"
Oh boy. I put my helmet probably there's bound to be some kind of clamp or thing for it, and I'll very slowly just approach the figure.
Okay, you approach the figure. It shows no sign of moving or of being aware of your presence in any way.
Mm-hmm. Is it grasping the star sword?
No, it's one set of its arms are folded like that, and it's sort of slid underneath the arms.
Slid underneath, yeah. First thing, try and slide it off.
Okay, make me a dex roll.
Oh boy. It was gonna be 1, but then it wasn't.
Okay, so you do manage to slide it out. However, in doing so, you sort of like you have to like jostle it a little bit, and as you do, the armored suit sort of like falls apart, revealing that there's actually like nothing in the suit. It's just the suit of armor.
Okay.
So like when you like pull it out, like basically the greaves, for want of a better term, just like fall away. The armor's still present, but it's almost like it had been like ceremonially like laid in the position as if there was a person in it.
Okay. Is this sort of the nexus of the way that I've been feeling?
It does seem to be, yeah.
I say, quietly because it's not really about the voice level, really. But I say, sort of at the display here. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are or who you were, or even if there is a you. I don't know why you came here or what this terrible battle was about. We're trying to make our own way. I'm trying to make my way. And I hope that there's some understanding here, that you can place a measure of trust in me. I touched these things not with the intent to dishonor them. As I put the star sword away.
Okay, so as you do that, so there is a sudden upsurge in the background of the way that you'd been sensing, to a point that it's almost physically painful. It's that strong, and you take 1 hit point of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And you...
On that point, have we had a chance to...
Yeah, you'd have all had a chance to
rest?
heal up to your maximum, because there's quite a bit of travelling to get here. It's fine.
That would be 50% of my hit point.
Yeah, you should all be on maximum. Like I said, there was a long slog to get here, so you'd have all rested.
Yep. Good. Yep. It's
Okay.
fine.
So, and you actually feel like a trickle of like blood run out of your nose, as in your mind, like Togger appears to be completely unaware of it. He's just like looking around, like checking his grenade and like looking around. You hear this massively booming voice that says, "The ancient battle begins again. The enemy has risen. We stand against the forces of the void."
There's no warriors of the void here. I say with like raising my voice because now I'm being hurt. There's no
Togger's looking at you
enemies.
like you're mental, because as far as he's concerned, you're in a quiet room, and all of a sudden you're like, "There's no enemies," and he's just like, "Eh."
Yep. But I did tell him you might see some shit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he like raises a scaly eyebrow, but that's about it, really.
Mm-hmm.
So you're sort of like screaming out, "There's no enemies."
Yeah, there's no enemies here. There's no warriors of the void.
Make me a charisma roll.
Oh boy. Watch me ace this.
Which you have. So, a sort of glowing light appears in the centre of the room, and you're made aware by an exclamation, i.e., like he swears loudly that Togger can see this as well. Mm-hmm. And what appears to be a glowing light appears, and you see this winged, almost angelic presence manifest itself from within the light. And it says in a voice that sounds like divinity wrapped in honey. It says, "We have been preparing for such a long time. The ancient enemy, the children of the void, will return once again to bring chaos and destruction to the galaxy. We have left these weapons here to warn us of their approach. A long time after we first came here, a great battle was fought here, but through all of it we remained quiet. But now we sense the return of the ancient enemy."
Well, that's Let me make a quick roll for myself here.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see what. Okay, so it is quite a stunning event here, but Tan does collect his wits enough to do something. So what he says is, there is an enemy which is probably the one you speak of. They are not here though, but they are not far away. I presume it is the same enemy that you have fought before.
When the ancient enemy arrives, you will not know them. They will move amongst you as friends. They will offer poisonous gifts and seek to turn you against each other. And by that chaos do they profit. Our light has long left this galaxy, but we have left places like this and others behind to keep watch over those who came after us.
That would be us then. What would you have us do?
Do as you will. Our time in this galaxy has long passed. Those of us who remain have left or have gone to far places that are unknown to you. This place is no longer ours. It is yours. We simply give you a warning to be wary.
I would take these things and this structure to aid us in the struggle. Is this permitted?
We cannot allow our weapons to fall into the hands of others. They are too powerful for this time. But there are races out there, ancient to you and yet children to us, who may be allies against the oncoming darkness. But for now, we would simply warn you against the movement of the void. And I would also advise you to put your helmet back on.
Which I do. Immediately when that is said.
And as you do, there is a bright flash of light and what sounds almost like cloth tearing. And those of you who are outside on the Defiant and the DSG 13145, you see this bright light seem to envelop the weapons platform, and then it is gone. And you're only picking up two very small signatures, like floating in space where it used to be.
Oh.
I'll decloak and go and scoop them up.
Yep, not a problem. You fly over, you scoop up both, like Togger, who seems like entirely bewildered, like hasn't got a clue what's going on, and Tan, and you sort of get them both back on the Defiant.
So I suppose we'll have our meeting on space Zoom.
Indeed, I think what we're going to do is we're going to basically pretty much wrap up the session here. But before we wrap up, we'll have you guys role play through your sort of meeting and your sharing of information, etc. And then we'll wrap up for this evening and pick up where we left off next time. So over to you guys.
So I'll include Toga in this whole thing because he was there. There's no pretending otherwise with him. He might not be the sharpest lizard in the toolbox.
Yeah, and in fact, the first thing you hear, Tylo, as you get those two on board, and you're sort of like walking down to like the airlock to sort of like find out how they're doing. The first thing you hear before you even like open the airlock is like Togger swearing loud and being like, "What the hell was that? What was that big light thing?" And then he's like, "What the hell is this? What happened to their station?" And then
What is this shit?
yeah, basically, yeah. He's like entirely bewildered because obviously he didn't hear a lot of what you heard. He just knows big glowy light thing appeared. You shouted a bit, and then suddenly he was floating in space. So he's like equal parts annoyed, scared, and bewildered.
Yeah, just
But
stunned.
Eventually, he like calms down. You're like, "Oh, look, you're back on the ship. We're going to talk about it. Like, chill out. I want to deactivate that grenade."
Yeah, but please remember.
Yeah, he like turns it off. That's fine. Yeah. But over to you guys to like chat. You all meet up to your chat.
So we got in. It took a lot of doing. The technology was nothing any of us have ever seen. It was probably controlled by something other than, even haptics. Don't really know. We went looking for something that we could use that would even register to us as maybe a control device of any kind. We ran into some internal security hologram. Didn't do anything. Continue forward. There's I'd call it it looked like a tomb at first, because there was this, and I'll give them the description of the four-armed massive species, because there was a figure there, seemingly laid in repose, but it wasn't a person. It was just the armor chassis and a weapon. And I think that was the control nexus for the platform. I have no idea how it worked. It seemed to be made of strings of light, the control mechanisms. I managed to disrupt the light a little bit, but the technology is something else. And that's the point when it got really weird. Because, well, there was no one in the armor chassis. But then there was. I took the weapon, and unless the weapon went away. By the way, I'm reaching for the thing. I took this.
You still have it.
I took this, and the armor chassis sort of folded in on itself, so there was no one there. But there was a presence and a voice in the way there, and I don't know how you feel about that sort of thing. I'll sort of glance between Tylo and Toga here, because I know what Balan is about, because it's no news to him that I hear voices every now and then.
Yeah, it's just Toga's not really saying anything, but like when you mention the way, like his eyes narrow a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Tylo, it's up to you what you think of the way.
It's never saved me, so.
There was an actual sentience. Spirit is not the word. It's not like that as far as I understand. But there was someone there through the way, and I think it's a species long gone, and that was their manufacturer, the platform, and they were probably these four-armed people, and they probably fought a war against something like the Dominion in their day. I got the idea that it was worse than, stepping on settlers in backwater planets for fun. It sounded like it was much worse, and it also said that it's gonna happen again. So whatever is going on with the Dominion is probably, if any of this makes any sense and is true, it sounds like the Dominion is about to become a lot worse, or something else is gonna come up that is worse than the Dominion. And it talked about the Void, which is the sort of mythological counterpart to the Way. Anyway, that would be the right hand, the right and the left hands of the Dominions, the Knights of the Void, the ones that we also were chased by on the mining planet. So I don't know if this is them or if they are just the heralds of whatever greater darkness they were fighting back then. And I know that this sounds like an oxygen deprived prophecy from a lunatic, but that's what happened.
Togger's nodding at this point.
So that's what it said. Whoever these people were, they left our sector of space a long time ago, and apparently they can reach here still and take their stuff away, because it did that. It said that the technology was too powerful to be left for anyone. I asked if we could have it, and it said that no one could. And here we are. It dematerialized from around us. And I stress that this is stranger than me hearing voices and seeing beings composed of light. At least I think so. He says, and lights up a death stick.
Okay, so little brother, if I understand this correctly, what you're saying is that the way he spoke to you told
Yes.
you that the Void Knights were evil and stole our prize worth thousands of credits. Does that
I think it was
up?
their own stuff, so technically they didn't steal it. They just took their ball and went home. That's what it told me. I don't know if it was a spirit or the station program or whatever, but whatever that thing was, it told me that the station was too powerful for anyone to have, so it would be taken away, and that's what happened. And if they can just do that without being here, I don't know. So anyway, if we find more of these, I can probably talk to them. That's the good news in all this. Bad news, of course. Not a lot of salvage to take to our new friends. And I glance at Toga.
He shrugs.
And also, before we move on to the next bit to scan and poke around in the ruins, I'll point at Toga, are looking at a choice here. Because you've seen and heard some things.
He sort of slightly suspiciously goes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some things that you, being a person of means and business.
Well, yeah.
And working for, more importantly, for people of means and business.
No, yeah, definitely.
Some of these things are quite valuable.
He looks interesting. He's like, yeah, go on.
And picking up that he's actually dumb as a rock.
Yeah.
I'll just continue. And we'll make sure I'll glance at Tylo and Balan, giving the eyebrow, and we'll make sure that you get paid accordingly.
Right, okay. Well, I'm all up for getting paid, but what is it you're actually proposing?
Stick around, and we can probably give you some extra on the side here, aside from your main employer.
When you say stick around, how long are we talking?
We'll see how long it takes here, but what I'm saying is we are gonna compensate you for great service on top of whatever you're getting from your employer.
Okay, at this point, roll me 2d6. You can add your charisma modifier. You can also add +1 because
Do I have to?
you've targeted his only weakness, his love of credits.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to refer to the PDF real quick because the modifier isn't on the sheet there.
I'll tell you what, in which case, just make a charisma roll. We'll do it that way.
Oh yeah, that works.
That'll be easier.
If there's bonuses, that might be a success, but
Well, what's your charisma score?
the 5. So if
Okay,
there's
so
like a 2 bonus,
he
then-
looks a little bit suspicious, but he goes, yeah, okay, as long as I'm getting paid, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't hang around for a bit. You know, I mean, I'd only be doing my job like Corpacora asked me to, you know, making sure that like she gets a return on her investment, like. So if I get a bit of extra credits in my pocket, well, no harm in that, is there?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can count me in for now.
Nice.
And you're interrupted before you can go any further by the of the proximity sensors going off. Obviously, you're all sort of stood in like the central area of the ship. What do you do?
I'll go and sprint to the.
Yep, no problem. You sprint, you sort of like jump over the back of the chair into the chair. You can see there are 3 Star Cruiser class ships moving like rapidly towards your area, and you can see a light blinking that's like an incoming communication signal.
Answer it.
Yep, you press the control to access it, and as you do, like the little like vid screen like flickers on, and you see what appears to be a metallic being, which I'm sure we'll all recognise from its inspiration heavily from various sci-fi things. It looks like an armoured man, however, instead of eyes, it has a black slit with a single red dot moving left and right on it, and a metallic voice says, "This is Cyborg Command. You are ordered to stand down and prepared to be boarded. You will be added to the Cyborg forces and service this sector of the galaxy."
Nope.
And as you go, nope, that is where we are going to end the session for this evening. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so I'm going to thank you for anyone who's watching this in an hour in the future. This has been our White Star Damascus Sector game, Session 2. I'm going to end the stream now, and then we'll talk about XP and have a bit of a general chat. So thanks again to my wonderful players, and to anyone watching this in an hour in the future. Take care, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. See you later.